Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the book club. I know it's been a while, but I found an awesome book to read, so I decided to make a video for you. I hope you're doing well. I struggle sometimes finding good books on ADHD, so if you read any and you have a suggestion, please email it to me because sometimes I'm like, ooh, what to read? But this book was essentially awesome. And I loved everything about it. I loved the way it was written. I loved the quirkiness about it. I loved the little tidbit fun facts on the side notes that would just make you laugh. I loved the positive approach to having ADHD. I loved the very basic down-to-earth strategies that the third part of the book has. And I thought that if you don't have the bandwidth to read an entire book, if you just read parts of the strategies in the back, I think they would be super helpful to anyone living with ADHD. So I highly endorse this book. I'm Chris Skra, and I don't have ADHD, even though some of my friends do think I have ADHD. I feel like I have read enough about ADHD to know that my brain is not wired that way. I do have to say that sometimes I have a smidge of envy about people that have ADHD and all of their creativity. But, this is like the classic, I like your hair better than I like mine. And the people that have straight hair want curly hair, and the people that have curly hair want straight hair, and you can never win. So I celebrate all brains alike, including mine. I'm not very creative, but I do get a lot of things done. So I guess that's the downfall of it. One thing I really absolutely loved about this book is that it was such a positive book. If you don't like just watching videos, I do also write a book report, which takes me a long time to do it. So if you're interested to sign up to receive our book club videos and reports, there's a link below where you can sign it up if you don't already receive them directly in your inbox. They start off with the book with saying, people with ADHD are some of the most curious, quick thinking, shoot from the stars type of people. And I totally agree. Most of the people that I know with ADHD are really fun people. They're always interested in things. And that's what makes them super knowledgeable about things, and also so super curious about, stuff in people. ADHD is a chronic but manageable neurodevelopmental disorder that affects brain development and function. It typically manifests in three main categories as symptoms. That's inattention, impulsivity, and hyperactivity. Not that long ago, I witnessed two people that have ADHD have an argument. And as the situation escalated, I reminded myself that it's really hard for people with ADHD to control the things they say because sometimes of their impulsivity, right? And as I watched that exchange between these two people, which are very kind-hearted people, it reminded me that I was like, oh, this is what it's like to be impulsive when your brain, has a hard time filtering. But it doesn't make them amazing people. So impulsivity is a big problem for people with ADHD, and lack of what we think of filtering and impulse control is just really shows up for a lot of our loved humans. One other thing that I always think it's cool to talk about is, the basics of ADHD. Executive function is our brain's CEO, and it sits right here in our frontal cortex, and it helps us prioritize tasks, keep track of time, make plans, impulse control, adapt to change in our environment, focus, store information, set goals, prioritize, become self-aware, motivate ourselves, and make decisions. And when all of this part of the brain is not fully developed, or, it's a little cloudy, it can be really challenging. My stepdaughter described it in such a beautiful way not that long ago, and I asked her if it was okay for me to share that, and she said it was. And she said, it's like my brain is like a duffel bag, and I'm looking for a white shirt. And sometimes everything is just really jumbled up in this, this duffel bag, and I get distracted by all the things that I pull out of the duffel bag. And then I forget that I'm looking for my white shirt. And I was like, oh, that is such a great way to describe the brain. Like when you're trying to stay focused and access information, it may not be as clear cut as like, I'm looking for a white shirt. I'm going to go into the duffel bag, look through all of this stuff, and then just pick out the white shirt. Where she is like, I get more curious about like, oh, look, some old lipstick. Oh, look, some old notebook. Oh, look, some, pair of jeans that I've been looking for. And then all of those things become just as important as the white shirt. And then she forgets she's looking for the white shirt. So that just seemed like a really cool way to describe a brain with ADHD. A couple of the things that really stood out for me in the book is that you're all going to be okay. Sometimes I work with people and they have a sense of like, oh my God, I'm hopeless. I can't do this. I can't organize. I can't get places on time. I can't do all the things that my boss expects of me. And I always say to them, like, you've gotten this far. A lot of them have college degrees or they have accomplished things in life. And it's like, and that's what he talked about, like, you're going to be okay. It's not like there are lots of tools available. And if you maybe connect with some of those tools, you'll be okay. Now, sometimes I say that to people and they always like, I get hate mail about it. And this is like, ADHD is like learning a foreign language. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and to just learn something fluently and like nothing, it's just not going to magically happen in one big fail swoop. It's going to take baby steps to accommodate, to learn better, to do tasks. And I feel like I have this argument a lot with people. They were like, but I have tried everything. And I say to them, just keep trying, right? Because at some point you may connect with some tools that really work for you, and giving up is probably sometimes where I meet people that is not very helpful. He does have some really good tools in the back of the book of things that he has tried that has really worked for him. So I recommend maybe starting there as a way of finding some new tips to manage ADHD. I did write a list of things that I felt were remarkable to note that are not positive. People with ADHD are more likely to be associated with getting fired, suffering from depression and anxiety, having a learning disability, receiving up to 80% more criticism during their school years, getting divorced, developing drug and alcohol addictions, repeating a grade, being sleep deprived, dropping out of school, going to prison, carrying debt, making less money, becoming sexually active earlier, facing unwanted pregnancy, or contracting an STD, and being overweight. And as I read through this list, I was thinking, once again, a lot of these things probably have to do with impulsivity. That is a thing that feels like really derails a lot of people. But one upside that he talked about in the book that I thought was really cool was that people with ADHD are much more likely to find unique solutions to an existing problem, where neurotypical people are more likely to improve on the solutions already available. So I thought I was at a conference one time and they asked, you'd be surprised that there are a lot of organizers that have ADHD. They asked us to create or identify 100 ways that you could use a straw. And it was so interesting to me, some of the ways that people came up of using a straw and just as a form of recycling. And I was thinking oh, I never thought about that, but of course people had lots of cool ideas about how to use a straw. So he also says a diagnosis is not a criticism. It is simply a description. I find that a lot of my clients are kind of relieved to get a diagnosis because you can put a word in how you're feeling and that makes people feel better. So I agree, a diagnosis is not a criticism. It's simply a description of how your brain is wired. And I hope that whenever one gets a diagnosis of ADHD, that it helps them then find good resources of ways to help improve their focus and all the other things that they need help with. I found that some of the ways that, he also talked about, like, here's how your life can be better when you do have ADHD. And I feel like I talk to people about some of these things all the time, so I'm gonna do it again. Get more sleep. Like, we're so sleep deprived. There just isn't enough time in our day to get sleep. Protect your space by closing the door. Like, if you're trying to work and you're working in a big open space, it's probably gonna be hard to focus. Recruit people to help you, like hire a coach, have a therapist, have a psychiatrist, hire an organizer. There are lots of availabilities out there. Not all of it is paid, some of it can be free. There are lots of support groups available to people. There are buddy systems that you can create, so you don't have to do this by yourself. And make self-care a regular practice. So I'm gonna end with this quote: only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far it is possible to go. And that's a T.S. Eliot quote. I am glad to be back in the book club. Hopefully I will have some new books to talk about with you guys. If you want our report, you can sign up for a newsletter, or I'm gonna put a link below that you can get a copy of it. And if you have a book suggestion that you would like for me to talk about, send it to me. And love ADHD is awesome. So if you have a comment, or if you learned something, or if you got some other takeaways from the book, leave us a comment below. And if you have learned anything from any of my videos or my trainings or my YouTube videos, please leave a comment or give us a like or subscribe. Otherwise, I will see you soon. Thanks, bye.